All right, guys, welcome to this episode of Prijon Talk, where we are going to be welding a crack in the seam of this Delirious. So here's all the tools I'm using. I'm using a high temperature hot glue gun. I'm using a heat gun. I'm using a airless plastic welder. I got a vacuum hooked up and a Dremel hooked up with a cutting disc because I gotta widen that groove a little bit. So my plan is to widen out the groove, clean out these holes, heat gun to preheat the plastic, airless plastic welder to soften the plastic on the boat, and then hot glue gun, lay a bead right in that seam and right in those holes. So stay tuned and we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm gonna get started with widening this crack and see how it goes. After this cutting bit, I'm using a brush, clean it out a little bit. So I got it cleaned out of debris pretty good, but it's a pretty big crack. I mean, it goes all the way through. It's definitely gonna need to be channeled out a little bit. So I'm gonna start taking away more with another Dremel bit. Create a nice valley to lay a good thick bead of HTP in there. All right, I'm gonna give it a shot with this bit right here. So that bit wasn't giving me quite what I wanted. I'm gonna go with something a little bit more aggressive. I just need to take out more material. It's pretty wide crack, and every time I shove my little awl in there, it reminds me how deep it is. So gonna take away more material to put in more good material. All right, so here is the groove that I've made. A little bit of the fuzzy plastic from where the cutting edge was. So now I'm still debating if I should take out more material or not. I want to get good penetration. Fortunately, with this glue gun, I can get inside and get to where this crack is. So I should probably try to get in here with my Dremel, take a little bit of material out from this side. I think that's what I'll do. All right, here we go. Here's the progress so far. It's hard to see in the camera, but yeah, I got a pretty deep groove going in there right now. I feel like I'm pretty confident with that. Here's what the inside looks like. Again, it's kind of hard to see, but I just grooved it out. Didn't want to take away too much material from the inside. But this is definitely going to be a long repair. Lots of plastic to go in there. So now the plan is to get it preheated, get all my tools preheated, and start laying some plastic in it. All right, so here we go. We're gonna get started. I'm preheating my tools right now. Like I said, I'm using an airless plastic welder. I'm gonna clean that tip off before I get started. It's easier once it preheats. It is specific for welding plastics. I have it set to the PE setting, the polyethylene setting. And I've used this thing multiple times, it works great. It has two different types of heads. It has this kind of like shaping head right here, which I think is gonna fit nicely into the groove I've created to preheat that plastic on the hole. And then there's also a tip with feeder tubes, and the kit that I have came with feeder tubes, and those are really nice because you feed the plastic into the hot tip while you press it into the plastic. So I've used that for welds on other kayaks, cutting pieces into thin strips so that way it warms up before it hits the tip. It's really nice. With the hot glue gun like we're using today, that is also preheating the material, and that's what you really want. You want the materials to be as close to temperature as you can to get the strongest molecular bond. This plastic has heat memory, so it's really never gonna form the same molecular structure that it did before. HTP is a random molecular structure that can only be used in blow molding processes. It's 10 times stronger than typical polyethylene chains, and it also is naturally UV resistant. It's recyclable. It releases no gases or oils into the earth once it's retired. So it's quite an amazing plastic. It's very sustainable, and I look at it as a stronger kayak is more sustainable because I don't have to buy as many. So yes, recycled polyethylene chains, although they are reusable, they also are susceptible to breaking, and then you're just welding them more and selling them again and again. So Prijon, really solid boats. I've never cracked one. I got this one cracked, so I'm repairing it. I also have another crack in the bow of another Delirious that I think I'll repair. It's very minor compared to this one. This is definitely a major crack, and I've seen them crack along the seams before. The blow molding process, it doesn't necessarily have seams like there's less material there. It's almost like there's an excess of material there, because how the mold is the kayak is placed upside down and air is inserted into it to fill up a mold. So this mold comes in two pieces, of course. So along where the two pieces collide, that's where you get the seam on the Prijon kayaks. And it's not necessarily a weak point in that it just has to be there because the mold has to separate to get the boat out. So I've seen Prijons fail all along this line before, but it's a pretty straightforward spot. Should be easy to keep an eye on. Yes, it is at the water line, but I have faith that this is going to be a perfectly fine park and play boat. You know, roadside, class 3, class 4. You could use it for that, because I think when I'm through with this should be pretty strong. So I've done all of my excavation of material out of here that I want to. My tools are preheating now. And the order of operations is I'm going to heat the inside of the kayak. I'm going to start on the outside here, but I'm going to preheat the inside for at least 30 seconds to a minute on low. Come out here, hit it with another low for 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm going to be coming right behind the heat gun with my plastic, and right behind that with the plastic welder to try to push that deeper into the seam. Because the thing I found with the hot glue gun is I'm not able to push it. It lays out very nicely, but I'm concerned that there might be areas of air bubbles if I don't press the material into the seam. So I plan to lay a bead, press it into the seam, probably lay another bead. I'm trying to do about 3 beads. The plastic does come out pretty thick and pretty fast, so I think it's gonna be maybe like a 1 or 2, but I want to try to establish a deep layer and then another layer on top. All right, so this is what it looks like after I laid the first bead. Gosh, it's really hard to tell on the camera, but hit it with the hot glue gun, followed it up with the plastic welder. It worked out really nice. Preheated a little bit more with the heat gun and hit it with another bead. So yeah, that turned out pretty good actually. I feel like I got good penetration. I got 3 beads in there. It's pretty smooth, you know, the edges are a little lippy, but you know what? I don't care about that. I just want good penetration. And it actually looks pretty clean. No bumps really or anything. So before it gets too cold, I'm gonna hit the inside. All right, there's a look of the inside. It's hard to see anything, but you'd still see some light coming through. So I'm gonna lay some plastic in there, hopefully not see any light. All right, well, I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. I got this outside looking pretty damn close to the profile of the boat. A little bit flat right there, but I'm just looking for good penetration and being able to get to both sides of this weld. That's what really made a lot of difference here. So here we got this side. Good penetration. I don't really see any light shining through. Maybe a little bit there at the bottom of that weld. But yeah, I mean, it looks clean. A little gap right here, but Yeah, it might be worth putting in just a little bit more